It was a gloomy Tuesday morning in Washington, D.C., but the mood inside the Capitol was anything but dull. Rumors had been swirling for days. Something big was going to go down at the Energy and Commerce Committee hearing. The topic? Government oversight on artificial intelligence, social media censorship, and alleged collusion between big tech companies and federal agencies. At the center of the storm was Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, the firebrand Democrat from Texas's 30th District. Known for her sharp tongue, no-nonsense demeanor, and unapologetic progressive stances, Crockett had made quite the name for herself. She wasn't afraid to ruffle feathers, especially not when it came to billionaires who, in her view, played God with algorithms and democracy. And across the chamber? None other than Elon Musk himself, the mercurial CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, and now the full owner of the controversial social platform X, formerly known as Twitter. Musk had flown in on his private jet from Austin that morning, dressed in an all-black suit and his signature smirk. He was called to testify regarding alleged censorship deals between government entities and X's old leadership before he acquired it, and more recently under his own rule. The hearing room was electric. Every seat in the gallery was packed, with reporters, staffers, and even a few celebrities peeking in. The tension was thick as molasses. At 10 a.m. sharp, the gavel came down. We will now begin the Energy and Commerce Committee's hearing on corporate transparency and digital governance, announced the chairperson. Elon sat calmly, almost bored, while Crockett flipped through her notes like a lioness preparing for the kill. After a round of opening statements from other members, the chair turned to her. Congresswoman Crockett, you have 5 minutes. She didn't waste a second. Mr. Musk, she began, her Texas drawl sharpening into steel, you have amassed a fortune greater than most nations. You're now running a company that has more influence over public discourse than our traditional press ever did. You say you're a free speech absolutist, but under your leadership, voices have been silenced, journalists banned, and algorithms manipulated. My question is simple: who gave you the right to play gatekeeper of democracy? A few murmurs rolled through the room. Elon looked up slowly, removed his sunglasses, and leaned forward. Well, Congresswoman, he replied coolly, the First Amendment did. The room stiffened. Crockett blinked. I'm sorry, are you suggesting that the Constitution gives you the right to suppress dissent while calling it freedom? No, he said, I'm suggesting that your definition of dissent is someone else's right to speak. What you're really asking is why you can't control the conversation anymore. Gasps. Jasmine's eyes flared. She was known for keeping her cool, but this felt personal. Let's be clear, she shot back. I'm asking why a billionaire with no accountability can influence elections, suppress journalists, and endanger lives with a single post. This isn't freedom, it's digital tyranny. And just like that, the gloves were off. Musk smiled. I'd say tyranny is when the government tells a platform who they can or can't silence. I have receipts, Congresswoman. Want to see them? She slammed her hand on the desk. Is that a threat? He shrugged. No. It's a promise. The room erupted. The chairperson tried to restore order, but the drama had already gone viral. Phones lit up. Live streams exploded. Hashtags like #Musk vs. Crockett and #Digital Showdown began trending within minutes. The battle lines were drawn. And this was only the beginning. As the committee room buzzed like a hornet's nest, Elon Musk reached into his sleek black briefcase and pulled out a thin, red folder. It looked innocuous, just a few sheets of paper tucked inside. But in Washington, appearances rarely told the full story. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett narrowed her eyes. What exactly is that? Elon raised the folder slightly. This, he said calmly, is a series of emails between senior federal officials and Twitter's old leadership. Before I took over. Instructions, demands, requests, all in writing. Every single one asking for specific users to be banned, shadow banned, or algorithmically suppressed. Some names you might even recognize. The room froze. Crockett leaned forward. If you're making this public, Mr. Musk, I suggest you turn it over to the committee staff for authentication. Otherwise, you're just slinging conspiracy theories. Musk's smirk returned. You'll get your copy, Congresswoman. But I thought transparency was part of your platform. Whispers echoed around the room like wind through broken glass. Jasmine felt heat creep up her neck. She hated being cornered, especially by someone she considered a narcissistic tech mogul with a god complex. I have no problem with transparency, she snapped. But I do have a problem with billionaires framing narratives to serve their own interests. Let's not pretend you're a crusader for free speech when you've personally suspended journalists, critics, and government watchdogs from your platform. Elon leaned back in his chair, folding his hands. I suspend bots, trolls, and people spreading state-sponsored disinformation. Sometimes the truth hurts. Jasmine stood up. The truth is that what hurts is your ego, especially when you're called out for your hypocrisy. You talk about freedom of speech, but your own actions are opaque. Who moderates your content policies, Mr. Musk? Who decides what's real and what's fake? Elon shrugged. An open-source algorithm. It's literally public. Unlike the internal memos I just referenced. The red folder was now in the hands of the committee staff, who rushed to make copies. Some members of Congress began flipping through the first few pages. Eyebrows raised, mouths pursed. Whatever was in those documents, it was real, and it was damning. Then, the moment that broke Twitter or X, a voice from the back interrupted. Congresswoman Crockett, is it true that your office requested 3 user suspensions last year from the old Twitter team under the banner of digital safety? The voice came from Representative Sam Bradford, a Republican from Arizona. He wasn't even on the subcommittee, but had wrangled a seat just to witness the firestorm. Jasmine's mouth tightened. I don't recall that. If it happened, it would have been in response to threats or coordinated harassment campaigns. Standard protocol. Bradford held up a printout. So this isn't your office's letterhead? And this signature isn't yours? Jasmine paused for a beat too long. Let me see that. She was handed the sheet. Her eyes scanned it. It was from her office, an official letterhead, and there was her name, her signature, and a timestamp from 11 months ago. Her breath caught. She wasn't shocked that they had requested moderation. She was shocked that the letter was in his hands and now in the public eye. Digital safety, she repeated. That's what this was about. Protecting constituents, particularly women of color, from online hate. Musk jumped in. And yet some of the accounts you flagged weren't trolls or harassers. They were journalists, veterans, even a high school student in your district who made a meme. That's not safety, Congresswoman. That's censorship. Jasmine's voice cracked just slightly. You're twisting this. No, he said. I'm revealing it. The committee chair finally pounded the gavel. We'll take a brief recess. The room exploded into chaos, reporters shouting questions, phones buzzing, aides whispering frantically. Jasmine stood still, clutching the paper like it was burning her hand. For the first time in a long time, she looked shaken. Elon walked past her, leaned in slightly, and whispered just loud enough, that was just page 1. As the committee room emptied out for recess, Jasmine Crockett retreated into a private office down the hall. Her staff trailed behind, silent, unsure what to say. Inside, the Congresswoman shut the door, drew the blinds, and sat at the long table in the middle of the room. She laid the printout down like a crime scene photo. Her signature stared back at her. It was just standard procedure, she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. We were trying to stop coordinated disinfo campaigns. That meme about the vaccine death stats? It was fake, completely fabricated. That kid's post went viral and caused real harm. But now it's being spun like we were out here silencing patriots. One of her aides, a young woman named Eliza, cautiously approached. Ma'am, there's more. The full packet from Musk includes 6 other letters. One references a journalist from the Dallas Observer. Another involves a climate change skeptic who tagged you in over 50 tweets in one day. Jasmine groaned, rubbing her temples. God, I remember that guy. He posted my home address. Eliza nodded. We had legitimate reasons, but Musk doesn't care about that context. He wants the optics. Jasmine stood up and paced the room. Her heels clicked against the tile in rapid bursts. This is calculated. He came in here ready to pick a fight, she said. He wants to make me the face of democratic control and play the libertarian martyr. It's all part of the Musk machine. But why you specifically? Another aide asked. Jasmine turned, her eyes sharp. Because I'm loud. I'm unapologetic. And I'm not afraid of men like him. That makes me dangerous to him and to the system that lets him rewrite the rules. Just then, her phone buzzed. A text from her media advisor. Fox News is already airing a split screen. Crockett versus Musk? Who's silencing who? CNN wants a response. You trending top 3 worldwide. She sighed, grabbed her blazer and said, "Let's go back. I'm not hiding. If Elon wants fireworks, he's about to get them." Back in the hearing room, the energy was electric again as Jasmine re-entered, this time with a different fire in her eyes. Elon Musk was casually chatting with a congressman, sipping from a black X-branded thermos. He noticed her return and gave her a nod, as if they were sparring partners in round 2. The gavel slammed again. "We now resume," said the chair. Congresswoman Crockett, a member from California, asked, "Do you wish to respond to the revelations introduced this morning?" Jasmine didn't hesitate. "I do. And let me be very clear. Safety is not censorship. When hate-filled trolls start targeting constituents with death threats or start spreading disinformation during a pandemic, we act. Not to suppress, but to protect." She held up a copy of the letter. "Yes, this is from my office. And yes, I signed it. But what Mr. Musk fails to mention is that every account flagged was reviewed and determined to be harmful under Twitter's own policy at the time. These were not innocent whistleblowers. These were coordinated bad actors trying to spread chaos." Musk raised a brow but said nothing for now. Jasmine continued, her voice rising with every word. "Mr. Musk has styled himself a savior of free speech, but in truth, he is just another rich man playing puppet master with the American public. His platform has become a haven for misinformation, foreign propaganda, and unmoderated abuse." Elon stood up. "With all due respect, Congresswoman," he said calmly, "I inherited a mess. A platform riddled with shadowy government-backed channels. You want to talk about transparency? Fine. Let's talk about the FBI meetings, the DHS memos, the censorship collabs, things your colleagues across the aisle were part of too." He reached into his briefcase again and pulled out a USB drive, holding it up like it was Excalibur. "I'm willing to release everything. Every name. Every meeting. If we're going to clean house, let's clean all of it. Not just the parts that fit your narrative." Gasps again. Even some Democratic members shifted in their seats. Jasmine's expression hardened. "You're threatening to dox public servants. That's reckless." Musk replied, "No. I'm shining a light. Sunshine is the best disinfectant, right?" A murmur of agreement echoed among the crowd, mostly from the Republican bench. The moment was now boiling over into something bigger than either of them. This wasn't about tech policies anymore. It was about the deep, tangled web between government and digital power and who got to pull the strings. It was nearing evening in Washington, D.C., but the sun hadn't even begun to set on the drama inside the Capitol. As tension simmered from Elon's offer to publicly release internal government tech communications, a senior staffer passed a sealed envelope to the chairperson. It was marked, "Confidential, Re. Congresswoman Crockett. Tex. 30. Jasmine noticed the envelope out of the corner of her eye. She didn't like it. It was never good when documents like that were passed mid-hearing. Suddenly, the chair spoke up. "We have just received newly verified information from an independent source that has bearing on today's proceedings. Congresswoman Crockett, we will extend your time to respond after this revelation." Her heart pounded. Elon, now standing with hands in his pockets, watched with an unreadable expression. The chair opened the envelope, read for a few moments, then passed it to his clerk. "Enter into the record, Exhibit B7, a 2014 internal memo from the Texas Youth Justice Coalition, in which then-activist Jasmine Crockett advocated for a pilot program to partner with social media companies to identify and remove content deemed harmful to racial justice efforts, including memes, hashtags, and online images." Jasmine's lips parted slightly. The memo had been buried for over a decade. She remembered writing it. Back then, she was working on police accountability campaigns. Misinformation was being weaponized to turn public opinion against protesters. She wasn't ashamed of her position, but the nuance was about to be lost in the storm. The chair added, "This is relevant due to Congresswoman Crockett's historical position on digital content moderation predating her time in Congress. Mr. Musk, any comments?" Elon tilted his head. "I have no issue with people changing views. But it seems Congresswoman Crockett has been in favor of algorithmic control long before she ever held public office. So I ask, how much of this is about protecting democracy, and how much is about controlling it?" The crowd behind them stirred like a pot about to boil. Jasmine stood, slowly, gathering herself. That memo, she said into the microphone, was written during a time when we were watching black kids get gunned down in the street. We were organizing, we were protesting, and we were being called terrorists for demanding basic justice. I still believe that misinformation can be lethal. When people use memes to twist facts, to paint protesters as criminals, that's not free speech. That's propaganda. I wasn't trying to control the narrative. I was trying to save lives. There was a short silence. And then, applause, first from one corner, then from several others in the gallery. But Elon didn't flinch. He was waiting. Passion noted, he said, voice low. But passion doesn't override liberty. You don't get to decide whose words matter more than others. Jasmine snapped back, and neither do you. But that's exactly what you're doing, pretending you're some neutral arbiter while quietly boosting conspiracy theorists and demoting voices of truth. You've just changed who gets silenced. Difference is, Musk replied, I gave the public the tools to see what's happening. You'd rather keep them in the dark. The two stared at each other, locked in the kind of silent clash that could only happen between two titanic forces. It was idealism versus libertarianism, control versus chaos, order versus disruption. And then came the shocker. The chairperson cleared his throat. There's been a request for Mr. Musk to submit the full contents of the USB drive for public record. Are you willing, sir? Elon nodded. On one condition. I want this hearing extended into a full congressional investigation on both sides. Left and right. Every elected official whose staff ever contacted Twitter, Facebook, Google, or TikTok to suppress or promote content. Gasps filled the chamber again. It wasn't just about Jasmine anymore. This was scorched earth. The room erupted in crosstalk. Half the committee members looked terrified, the other half gleeful. Jasmine spoke through the noise. You're playing with fire, Elon. You want to burn it all down just to prove you're not the villain. He looked her in the eye. Sometimes you need to burn down a rotten house to build something better. Boom. The hearing was now officially spiraling into a once-in-a-generation political earthquake. By the time the hearing was set to close, the entire nation was watching. News choppers circled over the Capitol. Cable news split their screens, one side showing Jasmine Crockett adjusting her mic, the other showing Elon Musk standing with a thumb drive in hand like he was about to drop a live grenade. Outside the building, protesters were gathering. Some chanted Jasmine's name. Others carried placards reading "Unplug the Puppet Masters" and "Free Speech, Not Filtered Speech." Inside, the air was thick with anxiety and ambition. The chair banged the gavel again. Mr. Musk, the committee formally requests that the contents of the USB be submitted into the Congressional record. Do you comply? Elon looked around dramatically. He lived for this. Gladly, he said, plugging the drive into the committee's secure laptop. The screens around the room flickered on. A table appeared. Folders labeled by year. 2019, DHS requests. 2020, FBI coordination. 2021, COVID-19 misinformation flags. 2022, elected official content requests. That last one was the bomb. Inside were hundreds of PDF scans. Letters, emails, direct messages, some from aides, others from elected officials across both parties. Each document carried requests to silence, amplify, or shadow ban specific narratives or individuals. Jasmine leaned forward, eyes narrowing. There, among the files, was an email she had written directly to Twitter's former public policy lead. It read, "We need to get ahead of this narrative. These threads are dangerous. Can your team assist in minimizing their reach?" It was dated 2 weeks before the midterms. Suddenly, one of the committee members, Representative Conley from Ohio, stood up. "I move to refer this material to the House Ethics Committee. This isn't just about Twitter. This is about misuse of power for political gain." Pandemonium. Everyone started talking over each other. Journalists in the press row were scrambling for angles. The word resignation began floating in the chaos like a warning siren. Jasmine stood up and slammed her folder shut. Her voice cut through the noise like a blade. "You want to come for me? Fine. I'm not perfect. I've taken stances I believed in, maybe too strongly at times. But don't you dare pretend you're defending free speech when this man," she pointed straight at Elon, "sits at the helm of one of the most powerful information tools in history and acts like he's the underdog." She turned to Elon. "You bought Twitter to build a cult, not a town square. You've used your power to prop up your fans and crush your critics. And now you're trying to brand me as the villain for protecting people? You don't care about truth. You care about control just like the rest of them. Elon smiled faintly. You just made my point. Silence fell again. But then surprise. From the back of the room, a whistleblower stood up. He was a former senior engineer at Twitter, unknown to the public until now. With a shaky voice, he addressed the room. There's something else, he said. The files Musk just released? They're incomplete. I worked on the compliance team. I know there were internal blacklists built into the algorithm, lists Musk inherited and then modified. Some accounts were throttled more after he took over. Everyone froze. Even Musk's smirk faded. The whistleblower pulled out a flash drive. This has the algorithm logs. All of them. Timestamped. You'll see that after Elon took over, new suppression directives were created. Not by the government. By him. Shock. Total silence. The chair's face went pale. Mr. Musk, is this true? Elon's voice was low. That data is proprietary. Taken without permission. Possibly fake. But the damage was done. Suddenly, it wasn't just Jasmine in the hot seat. Now Musk was being investigated too for misuse of a public platform, manipulation of public discourse, and potential violations of FTC transparency orders. The chair declared the hearing extended indefinitely. As the session ended, Jasmine walked out to reporters chanting her name, flashbulbs strobing like lightning. She took a deep breath. She wasn't vindicated. Not yet. But the storm Musk unleashed had circled back toward him. And maybe, just maybe, the real enemy wasn't a politician or a billionaire, but the system that let both fight for the steering wheel while the American people sat in the back seat. Epilogue, weeks later. Elon Musk faced congressional subpoenas. Jasmine Crockett gave a fiery interview on 60 Minutes, defending her past, owning her mistakes, and doubling down on the need for ethical digital regulation. The red folder? It became a meme. But so did Elon's smirk, plastered on protest posters, graffitied onto D.C. alley walls with the words, "You can't code your way out of accountability." And the flash drive? Its contents were leaked online by anonymous activists. What followed wasn't left or right, it was chaos. It turned out everyone had something to hide. In the end, neither Elon nor Jasmine won the battle. But America saw behind the curtain. And that was the real victory.